Welcome to the Kindle Chronicles, the Friday podcast all about your Kindle. I'm Len Edgerly. This is a special new Kindle announcement show for October 11th, 2017. I'm recording in Ocean Park, Maine, but you can probably tell the sounds that you're hearing are not the sounds of the waves by the beach. Those are the sounds of Manhattan, New York City, where I traveled on Thursday, October 5th, flew down from Portland's airport to LaGuardia and back in order to attend an embargoed product briefing by Amazon. And I'm going to tell you all about it on this show. You're going to hear from the two Amazon executives that gave me the briefing in New York, and then I followed up with one of them just today, Tuesday I'm recording, so that you get a more in-depth look on the development of this all-new Kindle Oasis. That's what's going to be introduced and announced at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, October 11th. The briefing that I attended in New York was at an advertising agency, Outcast, which has handled some of these events before. And there were two folks from Amazon, different from the people that I met in April of last year when the first Oasis was introduced. This time I spoke with Hany Ghali, who is product manager for Kindle at Lab 126, and Arthur Van Rest, who is general manager for Kindle. Last year, the guys I spoke with were Neil Lindsay, Amazon VP for Devices, and Chris Green, Amazon's Lab 126 VP for Industrial Design. This year, Michelle Taylorson was there from the media relations part of Amazon to help set things up and follow up. She also set up the interview with Hany Ghali that I did today, Tuesday, as a way to follow up. To set the scene a little, I'll start right out and let you know this is a new Oasis. They're calling it the all-new Oasis. The big difference is that it's one piece. It doesn't separate into a cover with a battery and the Kindle itself. It's larger, so the battery is all in one piece. And it has a 7-inch diagonal screen. That's the first time we've seen a 7-inch screen on a Kindle. It also contains Audible support with Bluetooth. You can listen to an Audible book from this device. It's waterproof. It has some font choices, bold choices for better reading, and also faster page turns. So you're going to hear about all of those aspects of it in the interviews that I did at New York and then the follow-up today. The all-new Kindle Oasis is available for pre-order today, Wednesday, October 11th, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and they will start shipping October 31st. I'll talk about pricing a little later. The Wi-Fi only special offers version of it is $249.99, $250, and that's for an 8 gigabyte version. There's also a 32 gigabyte version. I think that larger configuration might be if you do plan to listen to a lot of Audible books because they take up more space. I did have a chance to hold the all-new Kindle during the demo, and I will probably get a review copy to tell you about before they ship on October 31st. It's a little bit heavier than the original Oasis without its cover, and depending on whether you read your Oasis with the cover or not, you might feel like, gee, this new Oasis is heavier than what I'm used to. But it makes sense to me that they're bringing the product back to a single device instead of the combined cover with a battery plus the Kindle. That it was very innovative, and it resulted in the part of the Kindle that was just the Kindle was extremely thin and light. This device is slightly lighter than the Paperwhite by about a half an ounce, I think. And its main features are the ones that I discussed, the Audible and the other aspects of it. I am not going to really know until I have a chance to read on the new Oasis what it's like to use that 7-inch screen. That to me is one of the most interesting aspects of it, and I won't really be able to tell you what I think of it until I've had a chance to sit in my chair here or in Cambridge and do some extended reading. I like the extensive upgrade of the device. It has the feeling that it was built new from the ground up. It's not a new named device. Those happen usually only every 2 years, and then you get updates in between. But it's a significant update with the features that have been added, and there's a bit of boldness even amidst the fact that this is an update of an existing product as opposed to the introduction of an all-new product. I'll say that a year ago in April, when the new Oasis was brought out, that really was sort of a wow event because it was so thin and it did have the two pieces and it had the asymmetrical design. So this one is asymmetrical and it looks like an Oasis, so you don't have that sense that you're in the presence of something that's radically new in a whole new category. But as you'll hear Arthur say, the amount of work that went into the development of this new Oasis, I think does indicate that we don't need to be worried that the Kindle category is in any way sort of being overlooked or sidelined because so many more people are reading on phones and the tablets. This is a serious update to the line. Obviously, a lot of resources and time went into it, and I think that it's a device that a lot of you are likely to enjoy. And if you haven't gotten an Oasis yet, maybe moving up from a Paperwhite or an earlier version of the Kindle, this is still something to look at. Obviously, the price is not going to be for everybody's budget, and the $80 Kindle at the entry level is certainly a lot more affordable way to get into ebooks. But if you've got an Oasis, unless you're like me and you've got to have the latest of everything, I don't think there's really a compelling reason to get the all-new Oasis, unless the Audible aspect maybe is a feature for you, and maybe the 7-inch screen is something that will really appeal to you. You can get, I think it's $35 refund when you turn in your old Kindle, so that would help pay for trying out the new device. Let's turn now to the recording I made at the end of the demo session. There was a period where they were just walking me through it step by step, and then Arthur and Hany agreed to answer some of my questions, so I was able to do a little recap summary with them at the demo in New York City itself. And here's how that went. The first speaker that you will hear from Amazon is Arthur Van Rest. He's the general manager for Kindle. And the second is Hany Ghali. He is the product manager. By switching from the combination of the cover that has the battery, which the first generation Oasis had, to there's no battery in the cover anymore. It's all in the Oasis itself. Did you have to compromise at all on battery life by bringing the battery back into the device?
Having the larger 7-inch display creates more space for us to incorporate 6 weeks of battery life back into the device, and still maintain the light and easy to hold nature of the device. But the center of gravity is moved to the right, which means it fits comfortably in the palm of the hand, and you can control the device with the page turn buttons with the thumb. Yeah. So there's been no compromise on the battery performance.
So you've got kind of combined advantages. You get the bigger screen, and that gave you more space to bring back more battery to the device.
Exactly right. Yeah.
From the point of view of your commitment to the Kindle, say a little bit about that. Is this a device that's plateauing in terms of increased popularity of reading on smartphones and tablets? How robust do you see the Kindle platform in coming up on 10 years after the introduction of the device?
So it's been 10 years since we first introduced a Kindle device, and our sales performance is testament to the commitment to the category. So we continue to invest and we continue to innovate in the category. Every generation of Kindle has added new features, new functionality, both in terms of hardware but also in terms of features to make the reading experience special. So features like X-ray and WordWise and time remaining all make the reading experience better. The The Kindle sales themselves have never been better. So the Prime Day sales in July was our single best-selling day that we've ever had on Kindle devices, both in the US and worldwide. We love it that people read more, either on a smartphone or on a Fire tablet. But in the end, having a single-purpose device is the best way to read digitally. And people keep coming back to a single-purpose device for represents a real sanctuary of reading. So people enjoyed the Kindle Oasis because it was a place where they could go and disappear into the world of the author without being distracted by social media or by emails or by other internet use. And that's what makes Kindle so special.
Maybe, Hany, you could talk a little about the advantages of increasing the size of the screen. What's the benefit there?
Yeah, the 7-inch screen on the all-new Kindle Oasis gives you more space, so you can have over 30% more text per page than you have on the original Kindle Oasis. You can choose to use that by having fewer page flips. You choose to have a larger font size for the same amount of text on the page. We also see it as a great opportunity to add a lot more of the personalization features that we have here on the all-new Kindle Oasis. Really, you can enjoy the additional font size options that we have and the boldness options. All the additional space on the 7-inch display really makes these features shine and give you the best personal and comfortable reading experience.
Can I hold it? I so loved the switch to holding it. What do you call it? The center of gravity shifts into the hand. What did you find customers' use of the original Oasis that helped you make it even a slightly, it seems like a more radical shifting of the center of gravity in this one?
So we took a lot of the information from the original Kindle Oasis. Customers love it. They love the ergonomic design. They love the physical page turn buttons. They love the single-handed reading experience. We took that and then we did additional studies and we fine-tuned the grip, the width of the grip. We fine-tuned the taper into the thin portion of the device, and we made it feel even more secure, and even the weight distribution is even more fine-tuned so that it just feels so natural and so secure in your hand. And so we're excited to have our customers use it and give us their feedback.
Do you have any data on use of them as to how many people with the original Oasis would read it without the cover versus read it with the cover?
I don't have that with me right now.
No, it's personal preference. I talk to people that use it both ways. Personally, I use it with the battery, but I know many of my friends prefer without the battery. It's really just personal preference.
I think that the distinction is going to be and I read it without. When I read it in bed, I take the cover off, put that on my bedstand, and read it this way. This feels quite a bit heavier. So to go from reading it kind of naked without the cover to the new one, the advantages are obvious, but I think there is a disadvantage, just that anything that weighs more has got a bit of a hurdle. But if someone was reading it with a cover, they're going to not. It's going to feel very similar.
And it's still lighter than paperweight. It's
this is lighter than the paperweight.
Correct.
Good point.
It's still lighter than paperweight. So and we do try. We are very focused on making it. So we want the device to disappear. So you don't get distracted by the technology in any way. So you should just be reading the story and thinking about the story, which is why we try to make the device as light and as thin and as almost unnoticeable as possible. And by pushing it deeper into the palm of the hand, it just makes it lighter to hold. And even when you're lying in bed, it should be more convenient for longer reading sessions. That's the intention.
It's interesting you're adding the audible capability through Bluetooth. In some ways, I can imagine there's a bit of dissonance, purpose-built reading, but now you're adding the ability to listen. What was sort of the philosophy of your commitment to the purpose-built device and seeing an opportunity to add the audible feature?
So the opportunity is that you can stay in the story for longer. So no matter what you're doing, so even when your eyes are busy, you can listen to the story and then go back and then switch seamlessly back into the book where you left off. So it enables you to read for longer.
That's a good point. So you're disappearing into the story, and this device gives you a way to rest your eyes,
right, Well, I read at home, and then I switch to Audible, and then I go out and walk my dog. Yeah. And then when I come back, I switch back to reading, and I continue to read. So that's just how I use it, but everyone has different examples.
Now, if I switch from reading and I switch to the Audible version of my book, you said it's not immersion reading, so does that mean the pages won't flip as the Audible narration proceeds past the next page?
That's correct. You don't see the words. It's not immersion reading as such. You just see the Audible player. But then when you switch back, the whisper sync for voice takes you back to the right place in the book.
Yeah, that'll be handy. So really, you would be listening to it, and then if you want to go back to the book, it's going to know where you left off listening. Yeah. This is pretty cool.
And the waterproof feature. The waterproof functionality was the same thing. You can take it to more places.
Waterproof. Yeah, waterproof. Do you do consumer tests in bathtubs, or how do you evaluate the worth of...
I've got wrinkled skin now. so much time testing this device.
Yeah.
But we test it in all water environments. We don't differentiate between water types.
Yeah.
This is just a waterproof device.
Yeah.
We don't recommend scuba diving. It's designed for splash and accidental submersion.
Yeah. That's great. Michelle, we're probably over our time, aren't we? Yeah. I was trying to think of one more brilliant question, but...
You want to guess the price again?
Right. For the record, you did an amazing job guessing the price.
I'll jump in to explain that there really was quite a moment in the demo portion once they had described the device, and they hadn't, of course, said what the price was. And I said, all right, I'm going to guess what the price is of a Wi-Fi only special offers version of the all-new Kindle. I'm going to guess it's $250. And they both they grinned, and one of them said, well, you're pretty close. And it turns out it was $249.99, so I was a penny off when I was guessing the price. I was recording there just for my own use, and just at the moment that I came up with my pretty good guess on the price, I got a phone call on my iPhone that I was using for the recording from an exterminator up here in Maine who was helping us handle a population of squirrels at one of the cottages. So I didn't have actual proof that I had done such a good job guessing the price of the all-new Oasis. Here's the rest of the pricing scheme. I'm going to not do the 99-cent prices, round them up a penny. In the Wi-Fi only models, the 8 gigabyte is $250 and the 32 gigabyte is $280. There's also a 32 gigabyte with free cellular connectivity, and that's $350. Those are all available on October 11th globally. You can also buy a cover with a thin design that snaps perfectly onto the Oasis and transforms into a stand for hands-free reading. That's a nice aspect of these covers that will be available. There's one that is water-safe fabric, and that's $45. That comes in indigo, sandstone, and charcoal. And there are premium leather covers for $60 that come in midnight, saddle tan, and merlot. You can find all about this by going to Amazon.com/Kindle Oasis. Of course, if you start your Oasis purchase at thekindlechronicles.com and click on the Amazon ad, that will help the podcast with some Amazon Associates commissions. Much appreciated. Let's return now to the interview after the demo in New York City. Last year, I talked with Neil Lindsay and Chris Green, and I asked about the Liquid Vista color display, and obviously we're not talking about future projects, but the one thing that Neil said was color isn't ready yet. Has color made advances in the past year and a half that are significant, or would you basically be having the same response to the issue of color, just saying it's not ready yet?
I think it's the same answer. It's just not ready yet. Obviously, Liquid Vista continues to develop, but it's not ready for this product at this point in time.
Right. Last year, there were only 2 Amazon bookstores open when the Oasis came out. Now there's 13 coming to 15. Are you going to have take the opportunity of the stores to demo it, or give people a look at it in advance of when it ships?
Not in advance, no. It's for sale there, and we obviously have demonstrations there, but we don't do it in advance.
Right, but it certainly gives people a chance to really see it. I think that would be a really... I kind of wish the fires were doing that, where if you could go to the store and see a fire a week before they ship, that would have brought a lot of people to the stores.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now those are all yours. I want to make sure I leave with my device. There are a lot of reasons I love being invited to these product demos by Amazon. One of them is that when they send out the team to give one-on-one presentations to members of the media, it gives you a chance to meet some of the people that are working on the Kindle and the other devices year-round. They're always well briefed with the talking points, but a lot of variety. Afterward, via LinkedIn, I found that Arthur had moved from Luxembourg, where he was working for Amazon for a while, to Seattle fairly recently. He's a little bit older than Hany Ghali, who graduated from University of California at Berkeley in 2004, and then he got his MBA at Berkeley as well. He joined Amazon in July of 2013, and when I spoke with him on Tuesday by Skype, I reached him in Sunnyvale, California, where he works at Lab 126. I began by asking him what first attracted him to Amazon.
It's actually an interesting story for me. So before coming to Amazon, I worked in engineering and semiconductors in the semiconductor test space, and I found it really exciting technically. The work was exciting, but I did a reassessment of what I'm really passionate about. And I decided that I'm most passionate about people, about just being in close contact with the end customer that uses the product I'm working on. And so that's what I wanted to do, is just get as close to that customer as possible. And so what drew me to Amazon is, its goal to be the most customer-centric company in the world. And I know that internally one of our core leadership principles is being customer-obsessed, and the narrative that we always start with the customer. And so just kind of having read and heard about that, it just kind of set Amazon as one of, just that was the goal. I wanted to be part of that narrative.
Yeah. Now, when you first started out in 2013, what did you jumped right into a project where you were dealing with customer user interface data, or how close were you to the customer on the first projects that you ended up working on?
The first project I worked on, when I joined Amazon, I was part of the hardware engineering team. So I joined as an engineer, and I joined in the late stages of the Kindle voyage. And after that, I led a team of hardware development engineers for the 7th generation Kindle. Around that time, I kind of was also on the team of initial engineers that were working on the Kindle Oasis, the first Kindle Oasis. And I've been working on basically every Kindle that launched since then.
And now you are senior product manager for Kindle. What types of activities does that put you responsible for?
As a product manager, I really see my role as being the customer's voice in developing the product roadmap. So really the output that I give is a vision for the product that we're about to go develop. And so the role that I have is to go and listen to the customer, listen to the feedback, user studies, really be the voice of the customer in developing a vision for what we do next for that customer.
Now, I also saw that yours is the first name on a patent that Amazon filed in January of last year titled Electronic Device Stack Assembly. It looked, and I think there was a mention of e-ink. Is that something that's actually involved in this latest version of the Oasis?
It is. So actually that specific invention has a lot of great technology that we developed and used for the first Kindle Oasis. And then we took that technology and really built on it and added to it to develop the all-new Kindle Oasis. And it really has to do with the display. And so we used it for the larger display to make it more uniformly lit, for the page turn speeds, to give it the faster page turn speed. And a lot of the technology that went into the development of both the first and the all-new Kindle Oasis.
So some of those improvements are protected under the patent that got filed.
That's right.
Now the display, this will get into sort of the some of the improvements in the latest model, but I remember you said that there are 12 LEDs compared with 10 on the first Oasis. What's the significance of that?
One of the things we obsess over with the Kindle display is to make it as uniformly lit and as comfortable to the eye as possible. And so with the 7-inch display, we went and we added additional LEDs to make sure that, from corner to corner, it's always at every lighting level. It is always the most uniform lighting. So with every generation, we keep on just trying to make that even better.
And you've also got some improvements in the levels of lighting. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the great things that we really try to achieve with the front light that's built in is both a super comfortable low end of the lighting. So when you're in a dark room, it can get to a low brightness so that it's comfortable for the eyes. And then also in other environments, if you want, you can go to a higher brightness of the display. And so with this, with the additional LEDs, we see that we've given an additional brightness range on the all-new Kindle Oasis. So it's about 10% more brightness range than the existing Kindle Oasis today.
And am I right that the lowest and the highest setting are the same as the original Oasis? They're just more gradations in between them?
So for the lighting, we've actually increased the range. So the highest level is actually higher on the all-new Kindle Oasis than the existing, than the first Kindle Oasis.
I see. And there's also an adaptive front light sensor, or maybe a couple of them. What do those do?
One of the pieces of feedback we got from our customers is that they really love the feature of the adaptive front light. And so what that does is it's a sensor or sensors that read the level of brightness in whatever room you're in and uses an internal algorithm to set the display brightness to just the right level, so it's always comfortable. And so on the all-new Kindle Oasis, we have 2 of those ambient light sensors so that they're always measuring just the most accurate ambient lighting conditions and always setting it to just the most comfortable setting we found customers love.
Now, does that mean that at this point the Voyage and the Oasis will both have those adaptive front lights?
Yep, those are the two Kindles that have it today.
Faster page turns, that's always a good thing. And how did you accomplish that?
So that took work both on the display level as well as software streamlining. So it takes a lot of iterations of just streamlining every step in the software stack to make sure that from the moment you want to turn a page in your book, things are as streamlined as possible. So we were able to achieve the fastest page turns of any Kindle.
And how much faster is it than the original Oasis?
It's about 20% faster. When I use them next to each other, now when I go back to the original Kindle Oasis, I really feel the difference. And with the all-new Kindle Oasis, it just feels snappier. It's more responsive. You just press it, and it just feels like it right away switches, which is exactly the effect we're trying to achieve.
I noticed too that the buttons for next page, previous page are smaller than on the original Oasis, and you said that there were additional user studies that helped you kind of design this Oasis from the ground up. Do you remember any specific things that users were showing you in those studies that would lead you to think, we don't need the button to actually be as big as it was on the original Oasis? Yeah,
what we did is we had just users use the device and show us where they naturally place their thumbs, where they naturally place their hands on the grip area, and we just designed the position and the size and the feel of the button to match exactly that feedback. And so, it's not one specific parameter, but it's just the entire design was using all of the feedback we got from those user studies.
Interesting. The other thing which is different, the original Oasis was the first that departed from kind of a symmetrical feel to it, so that the center of gravity was more on one side, and you've done even more of that in this one. What was your thinking there?
Well, with the first Kindle Oasis, we've gotten a lot of great feedback. Our customers just said that they love the ergonomic design. It's really, it's great when they hold it with one hand. You can lay down in any position or sit up. Customers like to read in bed or lean against one side. And it's really just conducive to a comfortable one-handed reading session or however you like to read. And so what we did with the all-new Kindle Oasis is we took the customer feedback and then we tested it with a 7-inch display size and just really work to make the grip the right size so it feels comfortable and secure in your hand. We work to shift the center of gravity, so kind of where the balance point is of the product, so that it shifts closer to the palm of your hand, and it sits securely and it rests just right in the palm of your hand, so you're not worried about it, or you don't even feel the weight of the device really. It's all an effort to make it more ergonomic and just kind of fade away, and the only thing you think about is the story you're reading.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what it's going to be like to read that larger screen, because there's never been a screen that size. There was the DX, which was much bigger, but everything up until now has been the 6-inch. And do your user studies show why people might prefer that larger screen, or what led to that decision?
Yeah, a few points about that is in all of the feedback that we get is that was one of the things that customers have told us clearly that they were interested in, that they really wanted, was a larger screen. And we've measured it. We know that with a 7-inch display compared to the original Oasis's 6-inch, you can have over 30% more text. Your comics will be closer to the full size, and you can read more text per page for fewer page turns, or you can, for some of our customers that want to read with a larger font size, you can have a larger font with the same amount of text on the page.
Yeah, what do you think is more important, the fewer page turns for the same amount of text, or just how easy it is for the eyes to read a page that has more text, the sort of the experience while they're on that larger page versus the advantage of not having to switch as many times? We found from just all of the different users that have tested this device for us is that for every user it's a personal choice. It's all about personalization and what you feel most comfortable. And what we know is that the 7-inch display just gives that much more room for you to personalize your experience. And so for some users, it's all about the larger font size. For some users, it just feels natural to have this much, this additional space to have more text and content on the display. So it really comes back to customer preference. Now, you also added some customization options in font sizes, how a reader can tailor what the book actually looks like on the Kindle. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, there are a few features that we're adding for the first time on the all-new Kindle Oasis. So one is additional font sizes, like you mentioned. So we've traditionally had 8 font sizes available, and what we've done here to take full advantage of that 7-inch size of the screen is we've added additional gradations so that you have more steps in between. Instead of 8 steps between, we now have 14. So the largest font size and the smallest font size are both the same as before, and the feedback from our customers is that those work well. They like the high and the low, but we found that with the 7-inch, really the additional steps in between give again that much more personalization options for the customers to take advantage of it. Another feature that we added is the boldness control. You'll remember before we had Amazon Ember Bold, and that was the only specifically bold option of the fonts that we had. Well, with the all new Kindle Oasis, we're introducing an option to add boldness to any of the fonts that you have on your Kindle. And so you have, from 1 to 5 level settings for boldness. And again, it's just some customers find that a bolder font is more comfortable or easier to read, and some customers like a level between or on the low end, and that just gives that more personalization option.
That's really significant. David Rothman at Teleread has been making the case that this really helps certain readers that maybe have some reading difficulties. And you've not only added the boldness to all of the fonts, but you've let people choose among the gradations of boldness. So that seems like a pretty significant step.
Yeah, we're really excited to see our customers use that and to hear their feedback.
Yeah. Well, and then the other big new thing in this Oasis is the Audible capability. How does that work?
So with the Audible integrated into the all-new Kindle Oasis, you can listen to any of the Audible content that you have on your library directly from your Kindle over Bluetooth. So you pair to Bluetooth headphones or speakers, and you can listen to the book narrated professionally by professional actors or authors. Right from your Kindle, you can just tap and switch over to reading, and it will take you straight to where you left off listening. And so we're excited about this. Our customers that have tested it are super excited to finally have this feature.
The part of it that I used to love on the Fire when it was available is the immersion reading, where you could be listening to the professional narrator and you would see the words highlighted across the page, and the pages would turn as the Audible reading went forward. Is that no longer available on the Fire as well? That's just a feature that didn't turn out to be have a lot of support from customers, or it's not a part of this Kindle Oasis, it sounds like.
This feature is not on the all-new Kindle Oasis. What we have on the all-new Kindle Oasis is the Whisper Sync for voice optionality, which we talked about between reading and listening. But while you're reading, the display will show the Audible player screen, and you can see your progress and the Audible menu you're used to. But you're correct that the immersion reading feature is not on the all-new Kindle Oasis. I
haven't used it for a while on my Fire tablet. Do you know if it's still something that you can use when you're listening to an Audible book using a Fire?
Yes, yeah, that has not changed.
I see. Would that have been tough to do on the Kindle because the screen isn't as fast as the screen on a Fire?
It's really a matter of what we've put a lot of work to optimize for, and at this time we believe that the experience that we have here is exactly what the customer is looking for on the Oasis. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of what we focused our technology development efforts on at this point.
Let's see. Anything else we haven't covered that you must have lived with this the birthing of this new Kindle in a pretty intimate way for the last year. Are there any aspects of that whole process that you'll never forget, or you think might be of interest to my listeners?
Well, I'm not sure if we've touched on this yet, but it's a new feature that will make quite a splash.
Oh, right.
That this is the
nice.
Thank you. I know. I thought of that one myself.
Good man.
So this is the first ever waterproof Kindle, and so we're really excited about bringing that to our customers. Speaking of user studies and customer feedback, that's definitely one of the things that our customers are excited about, and in kind of testing this device. Our customers have told us that this is something that they're very happy to see come to Kindle. And so, this is another way, really for us, it's another way of enabling our customers to bring their story with them anywhere that they go. You don't have to think about battery life. You don't have to, with the glare-free display, you never have to worry about whether you're indoors or outdoors. You can read in direct sunlight. You can listen. You can read, and then you can switch to listening, so you can bring your story with you in that way. And really, with waterproof, we believe that this just brings it all the way. You can take it with you by the pool. You can read in the bath. Really, anywhere that you want to take your story with you.
Well, now my wife used to love reading her Kindle in the tub, and she'd put it in a Ziploc bag, which was, not a perfect solution. But I've always wondered if the desire for a waterproof Kindle comes more from people who want to read in the tub, or people who are afraid they're going to drop their Kindle off their mattress floating in the pool. Do you have any sense of where the desire for waterproof capability comes from in sort of a use case?
Well, let me start by saying, your wife is not alone. We've received quite a number of pictures of customers putting their Kindles in a Ziploc bag, and so that was not a small reason that we went after this functionality. Really, we see that, just like some of the other features, this is a customer preference type of thing. Some of the customers love to read in the tub, and they're tired of their books, the bottom of their book getting wet every time they relax their arms. Some of our customers like to lay by the pool, or in different places where they're relaxing. And so we just see that customers have told us it's anywhere that they want to go, they want their story with them with no worry. And so, we're excited to see the pictures. We're excited to see the social media posts about where people take their devices.
Yeah, there'll be some good ones coming with it. There was a waterproof case that somebody made, maybe M-Edge, and I made a video of body surfing with my Kindle, with my hands had the Kindle out in front of me, and my wife videoed it, and so I'm coming in on the wave here in Maine, and then I sit up and I start reading the New Yorker. But that thing weighed like 5 pounds. It was ridiculous. So it may be time to do another body surfing demo of the Oasis when I get mine.
I'll continue Googling regularly.
Yeah, you won't want to miss that for sure. I've been speaking with Hany Ghali, Senior Kindle Product Manager at Amazon's Lab 126. Thanks very much, Hany.
Thank you.
I have a press release here which is embargoed until Wednesday at 9 a.m. and the summary quote is from Dave Limp, who is Senior Vice President, Amazon Devices and Services. He says, 10 years ago, we introduced our first Kindle with the mission of delivering any book ever written in 60 seconds or less with a larger 7-inch 300 ppi display, waterproof design, and Audible built right in. The all-new Kindle Oasis is our most advanced Kindle ever. Its thin, light, and waterproof design allows readers to stay engaged in the author's world even in more places even more places than ever before. I'm still wondering if when the anniversary of the first Kindle comes around, which is November 19th, that'll be 10 years, there might be another shoe drop or some other event related to the Kindle that commemorates that. Because this introduction of the Kindle, it wasn't called the 10th anniversary edition or anything like that. It was just called the new Oasis, and plenty to talk about in that. But I sort of have my fingers crossed that there might be some kind of a reduction of the price of the basic Kindle or something else that might come out in November to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of the introduction of the very first Kindle, which, remember, cost $400 and sold out in 5 hours. And a lot has happened since then, including this new latest version of the Oasis. I was pretty exhausted by the time I got back here to Maine. I think I got to the Portland airport at about 10:30, and I did go to the Amazon bookstore, which I talked about last week. I couldn't tell you what else I'd been doing in New York City on last week's show because of the embargo, but I was very impressed with that store. I just walked to it from where the demo had been held, and I had plenty of time to get back to LaGuardia by Uber in time, so I did hang out at the bookstore for a while. These events are really fun, especially for an old reporter like myself. There's so much that happens in so little time. I was there for probably an hour, and I wanted to be 3 people. I wanted to be describing the room. It was a kind of a glass conference room at this upscale advertising agency. I wanted to be anticipating the questions and following the information and running the audio recording all at the same time. And I knew that everything that was happening in that hour that's all I was going to have for the show. As it turns out, Michelle was able to get me hooked up with Hany for an interview, which I thought really helped to fill out the details of it and to give some sense of the work that's gone into this project leading up to the announcement on Wednesday, October 11th. Whenever I find myself at one of these events, I'm grateful to all of you who listen to the show regularly and have given me an audience to talk about Amazon and the Kindle and books and authors for 9 years now, coming on 10 years. So thanks for listening, and I'd appreciate hearing from you. You can send me comments at podchronicles@gmail.com. Music for my podcast is from an original Thelonius Monk composition named Well You Needn't. This version is Monk by Eval Manigat. This is Len Edgerly for the Kindle Chronicles from Ocean Park, Maine. I really appreciate your listening to my show. Have a great day. Bye.